about people who spend half their salaries on sending their children to expensive schools when it's not necessary. Like you can love education, you can think education is this big thing and it's important and you want to invest in your children, you show them how much you love them. But you should not break an arm and a leg to pay school fees of 120,000 or 60,000 when you can go to a school for half that price, which is just as good.
I think that, for certain people, there's a far more greater, and in certain communities, there's a far more greater emphasis put on education and
Understandably.
knowledge gaining and things like that. Like, especially, like, for example, I can talk from my own experience. In the Indian community, I knew guys that weren't very well off, but their families would literally start saving from the time these kids were in primary to send them to university. They would try and send them to the best government schools that they could, even whether it's Model C or not or whatever. They would try their best to get them into the best schools because education is important in those communities. And education, in essence, is very important to grow our economy, our society, and our youth. So I don't disagree with the people that would want to send their child to a good school. I think that in this case, or from what I've read, they had to borrow money just to send the child on this trip or whatever. Look, I don't know the full circumstances.
And we are not speaking about, right now we're not talking about the death of this kid. We're just speaking about the occurrence where people spend way too much money on school. And some people might feel education is priceless, even if you have to spend 90% of your salary. And that's the point where I disagree. But aware.
Yeah, so I do believe that within means, you should always try your best to send your child to the best possible school. Like for me, I would never, and even my grandfather had always said to me, he would never send me to a private school, even though, like, at the time, look, our finances weren't the greatest when I was going in primary. He had a lot of faces to feed and things to take care of in the house. But he always said he would never send me to a private school because he didn't believe that you should go to a microcosm where there are only rich people there. So whether or not we have the money, whether or not we are of the same class as these people, he didn't want me just associating myself with just rich people. So I went to a Model C school, but in that Model C school, there was a lot of people who were literally paying month by month installments for the fees, weren't paying upfront amounts, were hustling. They weren't very well off, but they did it because they wanted their child to get the best education. Who am I to say no? Who am I to tell a parent you shouldn't send your child to the best possible school? For this family, I'll talk about this specific instance. For this family, this child could be their card out of poverty, that they saw a way out of poverty. This child is smart, but if he goes to a government school where there's 50 kids in a class, 60 kids, he may not be able to focus. He may not be able to get the best. He may not be able to perform to his best academically. So let's try and give him the best chance. We also don't know the circumstances around how many children this family had, how many others they were taking care of. So why they didn't have money in January is not. I mean, it's not something that's alarming.
Cool, that's fine. My thing is just like, cool, you send your kid to the school out of the area, but like if the school fee is there. And like this thing about government schools being so shit and so bad, maybe I'm living in a bubble, but like we have a tendency of undermining the government so much. And like recently, I'll talk about it now, like I'm tired of people complaining about South African government now. Like I won't have it anymore. Like I think I'm taking that stance now. You want to complain about South Africa? Fine. Because all you can do is complain and compare us to UK and America, bruh. Go to those places. My thing is, some people want to send a kid to a school that costs 100,000 a year, when you can send them to a school that costs 50,000 a year, which is still a lot. I don't know how much Parktown Boys school fees is exactly, and I'm not talking about Parktown specifically. I'm talking about the thing where people are killing themselves to send a child to a school. Then you can find this child leaves there with a 60% school, it's a 60% there is better than the 60% in the hood. I get that.
Well, not necessarily, because if you go to a Model C, they still do the same.
It's
national senior
exactly the
certificate.
same.
The NSC is the same matric that you're going to get in the government school. It's just that your classes might be smaller. You get sporting.
You get
the other things.
diverse people. Sometimes, like for me, I am an advocate of you need to get out of the hood, because even places such as schools, bruh, school kids in the hood, bruh, they not the conversations those kids have in those schools compared to the conversations had in a school where the parents are a bit more well off is different, bruh. And you would rather have your child think like that than to think like kids in the hood. And it's not their fault, but kids in the hood don't have a lot of hope. They don't have a lot of role models to look up to. So the type of peer pressure that's there is not the type of peer pressure that would be in like a more affluent school. And all kids are naughty, all kids experiment with whatever stuff. But like the peer pressure I had in my school and my friends, and some people can look at it as negative, but between the three of us, no one wanted to be the one with the lowest marks. In my school, when I went to school in the hood, I was the smartest kid in the class, but that's just because I liked school and my parents made me enjoy school. But like there was no one there who made me want to push harder. There's no one there that felt like, yo, Emilio's doing so well, I want to beat him. There were maybe one or two kids. But you see, there's a different attitude. I understand how you don't want your kid in that environment. You want to rather put them amongst kids who are a bit more positive, who have a lot less to worry about. Because the thing is, kids in the hood have to worry about things from the time they're 6. That's something a kid in the suburbs doesn't have.
True.
But now you're overspending, bruh. The family, you're not even eating every day just so that this kid can go to school. And like, it works for a lot of people. But I'm telling you, for 80% of the people, it's you don't look. There's no return on the investment.
Definitely